And welcome back to Bros in a Landfill, the only show where you can have your trash and eat it too.
Today we are lovely gifted to have the voices of Tar,
Hey yo!
Dizzy,
Fuck crabs.
and I am your host, Try. Now let's just jump right into it.
Well, before we
Wait,
begin,
fuck crabs? What did the crabs ever do to you, Dizzy?
before we begin, Tar, I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh no, what did I do wrong this time?
Last episode was the very first episode, but you said welcome back to Bros in a Landfill. They didn't leave anything. It was episode 1, you bastard. You fruit loop.
That's just a thing that some shows do.
You've got some explaining to do, Tar.
Give us the apology we deserve.
Listen, man, I liked Machinima before they kind of shit the bed. I liked the Phoenix Wright Bullshit Evolved series, okay? Jeez.
Speaking of Phoenix Wright, have you heard of a website called Ace Attorney Online?
Oh my gosh, I have. But can you please tell the audience more about this wonderful website?
Well, there's this website called Ace Attorney Online where you can go on and make fan cases of the Ace Attorney series. However, no one actually uses the site for that. Instead, it's mainly a role-playing hub that's kind of died down as people don't have time, are too lazy, or like to write things a little too well. The topic's role-playing this today, if you guys haven't been able to tell.
Oh boy, it's not like I studiously studied PokeRP to prepare myself for this, in which I actually didn't. I was supposed to, but I got sidetracked.
So before we go further, and let's all just give a little background of our role-playing histories. Let's start off with Tar because.
I was hoping that you'd start off to give us a footprint.
Oh no, I'm starting off last because I've got a story to tell.
Oh, I mean, I don't exactly know how to kick us off here. Like my first roleplay. So I got into this purely because this roleplay sounded like a lot of fun. I didn't have a whole lot of writing experience. I did have a little bit, but it was just garbage. That's not worth talking about at all, at least not right now, because I'm not willing to put up with the embarrassment. But
this is an embarrassing podcast. You're gonna either put all your cards on the table or you're gonna pussy out.
I'm gonna pussy out. It's partially. I'm Listen, man, you gotta have more material. You can't throw all the cards on the table, because then we don't have anything else left to talk about. So, I saw this roleplay called Pokemon Magikarp's Revenge. And I decided, oh, hey, I like Pokemon. This looks like a lot of fun. Maybe this will kind of get me nestled into the community. I don't know if that's my exact thought process, because this was several years back. But anyways, so yes, I joined the Pokemon RP. It was a lot of fun, and honestly, looking back on it, it's not as cringy as I thought it would be. There were some times where I definitely could have, done better. But that was my first roleplay. I managed to get a couple gym badges in story, so that was cool. But honestly, this was back before I really knew how to establish character dynamics. I just said, oh, hey, these two hate each other, and then they actually ended up agreeing on stuff for most everything. Rivalry was super contrived, and it was awful. I mean,
so do you have any fun stories to talk about Pokemon RP? Because I made a character for Pokemon RP. I made one post, and I just dropped the ball 95% of role plays I join.
I had a Gyarados eat my Beedrill.
Anything you haven't told us in the chat?
Oh, geez, I don't even know. All I know is, I don't even know what I don't even know. I had a lot going on, but at the same time, none of it, really happened. Like, a lot of it was just, like, level grinding. Like, I remember part of the discussion was this was, like, enemy encounters usually fell into one of a number of categories. Either one, we want to write a cool fight scene. Two, we're just posting as fast as possible because we want to get our Pokemon levels up. Three, we want drama. And I thought there was more, but I can't remember what. I think that was for like when the players were fighting the other players or something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at my app for Pokemon Roleplay. I'll put Magic
Oh,
Arts Revenge
jeez,
in.
don't even get me
And
started on my app. That is the most awful thing that I've ever written ever. But anyways, please continue.
yeah, no, mine's just like par for the course. I've got far worse apps, and it's not that. I mean, you're. Here's the thing you gotta understand about my role playing. And this is something I realized when we were talking, like thinking back to like why I like Shin Megami Tensei. I grew up reading and loving choose your own adventure stories. So the appeal for role playing to me was never actually writing stories or writing characters. It was more of shaping a story and trying to see what consequences the actions were going to be. And granted, that was a terrible mindset to go into role plays for. I guess where should I start? Okay, so my first, I think, real forays with role playing was pretty embarrassing. Back when I think this is when I was in middle school, so we're looking at like 9-10 years ago. On courtrecords.net, there was there were some role plays going on. I don't know if these were my first attempts at role playing or whatever. One of them was a trial role play, and I just kind of just jumped in and said I was like the defense attorney's partner because every attorney needs a partner, and I was promptly kicked out because, of course, I was. Like I would have kicked myself out at that point.
That's valid.
Yep. Again, there was this high school or college role play, and
it was like a slice of life.
Yeah, it was like a slice of life college role play. I forget what my character's name was, but he was like supposed to be this hip college professor, and I kept introducing events without GM's permission. Okay, my first post as a character involved him, like he's like a middle-aged older man, skateboarding through the hallways to the classroom.
I don't see any problems with this.
And
it's your job to decide whether or not I'm being facetious, because I don't actually know.
Yeah. But after that, I kind of grew destined of like trying to do role plays on court records. I was already like on Acer Online and stuff. Like I think it was just this natural bias I had. But there was this one post in the help section. I don't know if it's still there because I've kind of scrubbed out a lot of my old embarrassing posts. But it was the comments and ideas, and I wrote a post in the comment ideas section that says, like basically suggesting we have trial role plays, but I use a very specific term that you may recognize: trial by posts.
Oh boy!
Just thinking, like I used to be so proud for coining that, and if you go through the role play forums now, you'll see like TBP, and like it's the common used term is trial by post, and I'm just like, what the fuck was I thinking with that? Like it was, I was a cringy ass middle schooler who knew nothing, and I still know nothing, but I'm at least a bit self-aware now. So yeah, if you ever see the term TBP, unless if I subconsciously stole it from someone, which I don't think I did. Yeah, no, that was me middle school that came up with it.
I actually kind of doubt that you were the one who came up with it, purely because originality doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, no.
But I mean, like, if you were, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, no.
Because, like, you just said they're fairly prolific, aren't they? Like, probably not anymore, because the scene is dying.
Well, because beforehand, the people would just write, like, courtroom roleplay, or trial roleplay, or Ace Attorney roleplay. There was no, like, specific term. This was the first time it showed up on Ace Attorney Online, because I was fairly regular reading through the general description, because this was before the forum game, subforum came around.
Oh wow!
So this was an early Ace Attorney Online, but this was early after Ace Attorney Online was cancer. Because there was a period.
Thanks.
Well, there was a period of time before I joined Ace Attorney Online, and I've saw some of the war stories and read through some of the old posts that Ace Attorney Online was kind of cancer. There was a lot of drama. They did a whole spring cleaning deal of cleaning out the drama, and a lot of those old people still aren't online. Well, they still don't go on Ace Attorney Online anymore. So.
See, okay, yeah. So you said that was like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, well,
you started 10 years ago, correct?
Yeah, I started about like 10, 11 years ago.
Okay, so I started like almost 5 years ago. So yeah, fairly big disparity there.
Yeah, no, you can't even find all that stuff in there, all the the spam and the flame wars.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Yeah. No, Meph did a pretty good, I think Meph and Amy there was Meph, Amy, and there was another mod. I'm fudgy on the details.
Was it Bruce?
Well, I think, no, Daniel and Honey, Brosevelt, he became a mod, I think, after the fact.
Oh, okay. I don't know my AAO lore nearly as well as I should.
I don't know it as well. I've always been a serial lurker, and that's part of the problem with the role plays, because I have a few role plays that I've started up, and we can talk about them more later. But I'm the type of person who gets really excited about doing something, and I just fall out because I'm either writer's block or not interested, and I've been really trying hard to overcome that.
Well, I mean, you've been doing a fairly decent job with Camp Melancholy, it looks like.
Yeah, fairly decent. How long has it been since I've said I'd get that body drop post written?
Well, I mean, you've had other things to do. You started this. You're doing you're doing things in other role plays. It's understandable. You have a life, and you have other. I've
had plenty of time to write it. The problem is writer's block, because we have the entire thing planned. I just need to write it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
it's I know what I need to write. It's translating those words to those ideas to words that I really have a tough time doing.
Understandable.
And that's also why last podcast I doubt I'm doing well this time, but last podcast I really struggled sharing what I was thinking and my ideas, because I just have a natural block of getting those ideas to words. And that's why I want to do a podcast it will naturally make me better. And that's also part of the reason why I try to do more role plays and force myself to write more, is to practice writing and practice getting ideas to words. Anyways, Dizzy, do you have any role play stories?
No.
Dizzy, have you role played at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all
terrible. Do you have
terrible.
anything to say about this?
All my role plays were terrible, embarrassing, and I have absolutely no desire to mention any of them.
Do you have any embarrassing or interesting, you don't even have to mention the role play, but do you have anything funny to mention?
My life?
Or something.
There you go. Life.
Yeah. I don't know, just do you have any role play war stories you'd like to share?
Oh god, I just killed myself. Oh no. Roleplay war stories, not really, no. Mostly my characters just kind of disappear from stories and just sort of exist in their own tiny, small space until eventually the roleplay just dies.
Yeah, that sounds like definitely me when I started role-playing a lot. There was it was Endless something. And
Endless Time?
Endless Time. I had a character, so one thing you really need to know about when I especially my early roleplay, I've really tried to stop doing this, is that a lot of my characters are essentially self-inserts with different backstories. It's essentially me as different backstories. And granted, you can say that, yes, most roleplay, every roleplay character is an extension of yourself. No, the personality was just literally me with a different backstory.
Yeah, that was my Pokemon RP character.
That was every character I ever wrote.
Yeah, that's and there's nothing wrong with that.
It is if
I
you
think,
hate yourself.
Yeah, you end up hating yourself because you become too attached to the character because you view the character as yourself.
No, I mean if you have horrible self-loathing, you write yourself as a character, and then you just torture yourself because you think you deserve it.
For the record, this is a conversation that will be continued when we have our Danganronpa roleplay podcast.
Oh, fun!
Because
Look forward to that whenever that happens, kiddies.
Because there is some this whole conversation of getting too invested, too connected to your character, becoming the character too much, definitely applies to some Danganronpa roleplay drama.
Oh yeah,
that
I've heard the horror stories.
That I definitely did not help and probably made it worse than it honestly had to be.
See, that's the thing about like me and the topic of role playing is that I basically joined as it was like breathing its last breath and dying. I have basically no role play stories at all because all the role plays I was in were like snails races until they all died.
It's actually pretty funny because I started role playing when it started up, but it was still dry. I became a lurker while the role play scene was big. Like I just didn't participate in any, and I came back and I wanted to do role plays as the role play scene was dying. So
yeah, it's tragic. Fortunately, we have it. Wait, should I actually show the site?
Yeah, do it.
Fortunately, we have a new website for role playing called Vietnamese Noodles. You can join on in. We can probably toss the description. We could probably toss the site link in the description. Join us for a whole barrel of monkeys. I don't know.
Just be aware that we don't always have role plays, but we take role playing seriously.
We do.
Do we?
Well, Try and I do. Not sure about Dizzy.
Okay. I take planning role plays very seriously, and I take role plays almost a little too seriously. I need to kind of step back and unwind so I can just enjoy writing. But considering that I'm a terrible typer, and my brain. I'm almost too smart to write, and I'm going to say it this way because my brain will autocorrect everything I read and type so well that I will not realize I made a typo or a grammar mistake until like a day or until someone points it out to me. Like I will look over it and it will read fine to my brain.
It's called dyslexia.
I'm just going to go ahead and put this to r/I am very smart right quick. Okay, please continue.
It's like you have to have a very IQ to understand my roleplay posts. And yes,
Thanks.
we just lost any chance of having subscribers because I made that joke.
Oh yeah. Thanks. This was your idea.
Speaking of roleplays, I wanted to talk about one of the things I really enjoy about role playing is crafting a role play, and I think I'm really good at making an interesting role play, but I make it so complex and convoluted that it becomes too difficult to GM in some ways. Like, I think the best example would be the Digimon role play that I hosted. I spent a lot of time planning out the story and planning out each and every thing. Well,
yeah, that thing that I was probably going to join and then didn't.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad you didn't because every time someone responded, and I loved expanding the story. I had this whole expanded lore of like what each chapter was going to entail, and like I still wanted to continue on, but by the nature of how detailed the world is and how detailed the events are, I have to write numerous paragraphs in response to every character's posts. And as someone who's not a fast typer, and it takes me a solid hour to write a few paragraphs because I'm just a slow typer and I'm slow at getting my it's the whole ideas to words thing.
I understand you there.
Those roleplay posts for the Digimon roleplay were taking me hours to write, and it was becoming a big time sink, and I wanted to write more. I wanted to continue on, but every time I had to go write a post, the sinking dread of this is the rest of my evening was writing this post. Was not like I wanted to do it without I wanted to have the post done. I knew I wanted to happen, but I just couldn't do it. And that's partially why it's taking me so long with the Camp Melancholy one. Is I can feel this one being a long one, and I need to be in the right mindset.
Was that also the same thing that happened for JoJo RP?
Yes and no. Because Sleuth and I were the ones that planned it out. We planned this whole thing. I think JoJo was too well planned in some degrees, and one of the rules with role playing, especially when you make a GM, is you have to make the story flexible. And I've got a counter example of this to talk about afterwards, but when you have an idea, like for me, like I had such a strong idea of what was going to happen in the JoJo roleplay, that when anything was breaking out of the norm for it became harder to write and harder to be flexible.
Understandable.
And I think Sleuth became started to lose interest in it too, because he stopped posting as much and we stopped talking about it. Well, yeah, she talked. I didn't realize that Sleuth was a she now, so I'm still getting used to the whole thing because I haven't talked.
I think all of us slip that up every now and again.
Yeah. See, it's because at least where I am, Sleuth doesn't talk a lot. Sleuth will make a quip or whatever. As someone like Claire, who is Dave and now is Claire, is
right,
very.
I know who Claire is.
Yeah, Claire. I'm saying this for the audience. Like, if anybody who's fallen out, who doesn't know, because I don't know who's listening. Claire is a very active and intelligent person who shares her ideas very frequently and is very vocal about her opinions, and it keeps it like. And she's done a very good job of creating an identity that she's female, and thing. Where with Sleuth, it hasn't clicked yet because I don't talk with Sleuth enough, and I don't see Sleuth's content enough. And that might be Sleuth's personality. There's nothing wrong with her doing that. I don't particularly care. She does what she wants. It's just a harder transition compared to someone like Claire.
Right, it's understandable.
Yeah.
But anyways, you were saying something about Sleuth and JoJo RP.
Yes. It's just that we stopped talking about it as much. It became harder to write posts. And I had fun with the posts that I was doing. The ideas were so rigid. I feel like the structure was so rigid that being flexible and writing around what we had already planned was difficult. At least for me. So,
like, what were some examples of things that made things go awry? Because I feel like some of that was probably me.
Oh no, it was nothing really. I think it was an inevitable. It was no individual person's fault other than my own of having such a rigid concept, because you can't expect players to want to go do exactly what you want to do.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because the first, and I think, considering how like any roleplay that has a time-based element is already has a crutch on his hands, because it's hard to stay flexible with time and make things realistic. So for those who don't know about the JoJo roleplay, the gimmick was that every so often an hour passed in the roleplay. After every mission, an hour passed, and at the end of the day would reset and everything would reset. Again, but the people who had stands would remember all the events that happened the previous day. So when you're dealing with a time-based structure like that, you have to plan things out. And so you have something to do during every chapter, but eventually what you find is sometimes a chapter won't have enough to do. The players will be doing something else. And if a mission needs to be completed for an hour to finish, especially in a forum-based roleplay. I don't know if this would have been a big of a deal in a Discord-based roleplay, because Discord's a bit more fast-paced. If a mission needs to be completed before the story can continue on, but you don't, you either have to shoehorn the players into completing the mission, which can be out of character for their own characters, or the characters are going to go off do their own thing and the mission might not actually be completed, and you're waiting on for the one or two people who are actually doing anything in the role play for the mission. I guess, for example, because the only person, there was, I think, two other people other than myself that was really taking part of that first mission, which I had to make on the fly because I was like, Wait a second, I don't actually have a mission for this chapter.
Oh yeah, it was Got and Dizzy, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think it was Got and Dizzy. Got was going through a very busy time right then, and he didn't have a lot of time to write roleplay posts, so we'd be waiting a few days on him. Or like
And Dizzy's actions varied very much on Got's.
Yeah, well, and that's because Got's a really good writer, but when it comes to role playing, sometimes he has a tendency of making himself, and this is not by his own fault or whatever. He sometimes makes himself too important. I think this is because of his history of role playing. He is such an iconic role player, and the Ace Attorney online. Well, he's such a prolific role player on AAO with his own role plays and whatnot, and he's such a good writer with these magnum opuses such as that. There's so many posts he's made in JR that I'm just that are just so cool. But to the same extent, because he puts so much effort in his posts, it takes him much longer to actually post, which to some degree is also what happens to me. Except I'm nowhere near as good as the writer at Got as Got is.
I feel like it's happening again. This happens frequently with me. I always feel like I have something to say, and then it just escapes me the moment I open my mouth.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, both of my JoJo characters were pretty out of the way. I don't think I even had plans for them. I almost never have plans for characters. If you're not in a Danganronpa RP, or your name is not Gwendolyn, I don't have a plan for a character. I just throw them in and see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree that you never want to have too much of a plan for a character. Just it's better to know how they would react to something and define the personality well enough so that when the story does happen, you know how they're going to react. Because 9 times out of 10, any plan you make is going to be overturned by another character or by a GM's actions, and it would not be in character for them to go along with that plan.
Right.
It's the same thing with GMing. Is you can't have it's better to have a framework of how the world works and how the characters interact, how your NPCs work, because the more flexible you make yourself, the easier it is to make a roleplay. But
hence why I have never GM'd a roleplay, because I feel like I would be the exact same way as you. I'd be all okay, this is going to happen, this needs to happen for this to happen, this leads to this, boom, 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 this is definitely what the players will do, I'm good. That's not gonna be how it's gonna work at all.
Yeah, no, it's been a bit rough with Camp Melancholy, because I have a headcanon of who dies on what chapter, but it's clearly not going that way based off of player interaction and player activity and whatnot. Because I guess as someone who enjoys thinking of stories, writing stuff and whatnot, I can come up with what I think would be the most interesting outcome for each chapter and for who the survivors are. But as a roleplay, that's just not going to happen at all. It'd be a miracle if it ever came out the way that I intended it to.
Right, and I'm shooting myself in the foot with my Camp Melancholy character, because I am assuming that he's going to make it to chapter 5, and that is not a good thing to assume.
Well, at this point with Camp Melancholy, it's more important just to be active, because there's a lot of weeds that need to be cut based off people not being able to be active and whatnot, and it sucks because I don't want to kill the good characters too early, and I want to have faith that people are going to have time to come back.
Right.
I mean, to an extent, I feel a bit bummed that I feel like I messed up by killing Akira first chapter, because I feel like he would have been a more active character coming to the future chapters compared to other characters.
Like Nico and Lietzen.
Yeah. Well, the problem with Sir Leeson is I know him in real life, and he was in my college. He went to college with me, and he got a job that's really demanding. And I think I don't know if he's working 2 jobs right now. He just doesn't have the real life time, and he's told me this.
That's sad.
Yep. So he really only has time to do like the trial post or like a forum post. He can't keep up with the Discord stuff right now.
Damn you, real life.
I know. But I don't even want to think too much about Camp Melancholy because I'm slowly despising Mai. Like, I just don't like what I've done with her.
Hence why she's starving right now.
Yeah, hence why she's starving right now. I am punishing my own character in the roleplay.
What?
Did you say something, Dizzy?
Huh? No.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, the thing is about role-playing is that every single opinion I have on role-playing is more from... It has nothing to do with the individuals, but as role-playing as a whole. And all of it is... None of it is fun or pleasant or happy to talk about, and I feel like bringing it up or mentioning it would just turn this into a big flame war, so I'm basically just gonna sit almost the entire podcast out, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, I definitely like the concept of role playing over the act of role playing.
I don't like the concept of role playing. That's why I'm basically saying nothing.
What about the concept of role playing that you don't like? Because I definitely there's definitely a sentiment out there that I understand. For me, like, I like the act of storytelling, and that's why I role play, not necessarily the actual act of role playing. Does that make?
Well, conceptually,
I think I understand what you're trying to say.
Conceptually, I like role-playing, the idea of a bunch of people getting together to play characters in a fictional story. That's not quite the concept, though, that I'm referring to that annoys me.
So then, why do you say you don't like it?
I'm saying I don't like it because conceptually versus what it actually is are two completely different things, and also the concept is pretty bare bones and unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, I think to some degree, when it comes to classic tabletop role-play RPGs such as Dungeons and Dragons, it makes more sense because there's a structure. Everybody has to meet up together. There's die rolls and stats to determine if things actually pan out as they want. When it comes to forum roleplays and Discord roleplays, it's really just whatever the GM says goes. There's no real control. And since no one's really in the same room, it's harder to keep things in control because everybody's anonymous. There's no real consequences for your actions compared to if you're with a bunch of friends trying to do a roleplay.
I was referring to role-playing as a whole, not just forum.
I see. Now I'm interested.
So then, what's so bad about in-person role-playing?
It's the entirety of role-playing. Hold on, let me organize my thoughts before I say this. Actually, I said too, I don't even really want to say this because it's not fun, it's not happy, it's not haha. It's basically me getting angry and then saying the whole thing is stupid.
Well, podcasts need controversy.
There's controversy and then there's just anger.
Hey. At least anger is something, and we're not trying to be the best best podcast there is.
Wait, we're not?
I don't disagree with that.
There is no way in hell this is gonna be the best podcast ever just yet. I want it to be. That'd be great. But it's small steps, buddy. Small steps. And people like anger. There's a reason why some of the most popular like videos in the anime community are people shitting on anime, and that's why like things like some of the nostalgia critics' best videos are the ones where he's heavily shitting on something.
A nostalgia critic, for example, is comedic anger, where it's like exaggerated for a point.
People just like anger.
Well, that could also be the fact.
See,
that
also
don't
Game
like
Grumps.
Yeah. No, see, Game Grumps. There are times where Aaron has pure, unbridled anger, and it is some of the funniest shit. It doesn't
that's
even
also
have to be him.
And I quote, "I'm going to give you a fucking hernia." End quote.
Yes, but this also comes with the admonishing factor too that these are set into entertaining settings, and are portrayed by people who have made their living being comedians. It's kind of like a thing I was saying to a friend of mine, where you could make anything mean. You could make any phrase mean anything with the proper phrasing. You can make anger hilarious, or you could make anger terrifying. You can make anger be the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life and make you never want to associate yourself with a person again. Or you can have a Game Grumps situation where you see a man flailing on the ground because of a video game, and then, like, just the next day you do the same thing with him again.
I see. So this is some like unbridled rage you have inside you.
No, it's not unbridled rage. It's just not fun. It's just me being angry about something, and
Okay.
it's just there's no enjoyment, there's no fun, there's no joke. It's just me being very upset.
I don't think what you understand is that people like being angry at things. That is our culture now. And it's one thing if you want to make a statement that we shouldn't be angry at things and we should hold our anger in.
I don't know about the culture, but I definitely am familiar with anger, and I can say this much: I do not revel in or laugh at anger. I pity people who are filled with it, and I detest it.
I see. So this is a personal issue where you.
No, we're getting into the topic of anger. I was saying about role playing.
Oh, we're talking about roleplay. Oh, okay.
I'm talking about you're talking about a culture of anger, and I'm saying I don't like a culture of anger, but we're getting off topic.
Oh yes. Okay.
I think a culture.
So role playing. Why does it make you angry?
We've been having all these conversations, and I'm basically like recovering from my coffee because I'm falling the fuck asleep.
Ouch.
So I don't even remember
nothing
what I
better
was
than-
saying.
Yeah. Okay. So
Dude, don't pull these all-nighters before podcast days.
I have no
Yeah.
control over my
Yeah.
sleeping or my body.
Yeah, because we need you to be at your A game, so you can be angry and coherent. We need the angry boy.
No,
We
that's
can't
that's
have a
not the kind of.
podcast
That's the thing is that my anger is not like Aaron Hansen anger, where he's screaming about stuff. My anger is very calculated and very cruel.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
You shouldn't, because I could tear into you, and then you could say, "Wow, Dizzy, I think I don't want to talk to you ever again."
We're all civil here.
Here's the thing.
Don't make me not civil.
This is coming from someone who struggles to be angry at things. I can get frustrated at things, but I don't feel anger like other people do. And
I
don't
envy
get
you beyond
that.
belief.
I'm the type of person who gives too much of the benefit of the doubt towards another person, where they unless if they're tactful, unless they're literally trying to harm me or my loved ones, physically or emotionally, I will still give them the benefit of the doubt. And even so, I'm still way too generous. I won't say it to their face, and I'll talk behind their back.
Well, what if they mentally or emotionally harm you, but it wasn't intentional?
Then I give them the benefit of the doubt.
Because anger is not really a motive. Anger it's more of a means than it is a motivation. It's just kind of a thing that gets you going, and anger often goes too far over the line. You can really hurt someone and never really have wanted to.
And I think for me, it's just I realize everybody's flawed. Everybody has their own lives. Everybody has their own experiences. If you want to fall out with me. I'm not going to stop you, but that doesn't mean I'm going to think you're a bad person. I recognize you have your issues and whatnot.
I was just using you as an
hate you for the rest of my
example.
life. What?
I was just using you as an example. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, I know, no. And I was using you as an example.
Fucking, what if Santa Claus?
Don't fucking come to me telling me that you're using me as an example when I know you're using me as an example.
Fucking, what if Santa Claus comes down your chimney and he's like, "Try, you suck," and he takes off his pants and he flashes you, and then he climbs back up the chimney.
Discord just cut out for me, and I heard Santa Claus coming down the chimney and flashing his pants.
I'd be like, well, that was an experience. Remember it for the rest of my life, and just wonder what it all meant.
It is someone who maliciously tried to hurt you. Emotionally and mentally forever.
But you're implying that it actually hurts me. I would be like, I'd be more concerned about their mental well-being to think that would hurt me.
No, it's Santa Claus. Do you have to question the mental well-being of a fat man who breaks into people's houses?
That's kind of what people do on principle.
I mean, and flashes somebody. I mean, that's a whole nother level of questioning.
Well, he wants to hurt you, but he doesn't want. He wants to hurt you mentally, and he's like, "This will scar you." Also, did I
think I know
mention in this scenario you're also 8 years old?
I probably wouldn't understand what's going on. I mean,
Yeah, that's probably gonna cause more confusion than anything else.
Okay, then he also fucks your mom.
That's definitely going to cause more confusion than anything else, especially at 8 years old.
Well, here's the thing: is it consensual?
Maybe your mom is in on this, and she also hates you.
Well, I mean, that's another story altogether. I'm probably a pretty shitty person if they both hate me. If Santa Claus and my mom hates me, I'm probably a pretty shitty person.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a point.
No, maybe they're just both assholes. You don't know.
I mean, but here's the thing: we're all assholes.
We are.
So back on topic to roleplays, I think
This
the real
is like
reason
the most
why
depressing podcast we've had, and it's only the second one.
I know it's
Hey,
only
good
downhill
to get
from
it out of
there.
the way early.
I think the real reason why Disney doesn't like roleplays is because roleplaying is just an analogy for life. Because then again, life is just roleplaying. You're playing a role in society, and if it's going downhill in real life, you can't expect it to go up in roleplays.
No,
It's
actually, that's
fantasy
completely
that
that's
always ends
completely
badly.
relevant.
I know. Yeah. No, my problem with roleplays is it's an escapist fantasy that never ends well. It's either going to continue going on and you're going to escape from fantasy reality far too much, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference between a game and reality, or it's just going to end in drama, or just the roleplay is going to die. That for me, I only take part of roleplays for the pure storytelling aspect of it. I don't care about playing the game. I respect like a GM for setting up the rules and whatnot, but I don't give too much of a fuck about it actually being a role player playing a role. It's just, for me, it's just writing a character in a story.
I hate the phrase escapist fantasy.
Yeah, no, I hate it too, but I think I've talked to too many teenagers in the Danganronpa fan game community. Well, Danganronpa
Roleplay community.
Roleplay community that literally just do it for escapism because they're edgy and their life sucks so much.
Well, because I think escapist fantasy is like a twistment of something else that went like too far and overshadowed what it was originating from. Like I think escapism kind of sort of like bloated way beyond what it was supposed to be, and it's now its original intention is completely gone.
Yeah, no, escapism in itself is good because you can't be subjected to all the horrors of the world 24/7. I mean, especially with this information age, and you can know everything bad going on at any time of the day, and you're aware of it. And having something like a show or a game or a role play is fine to like escape from it. But some people, and I'm guilty of this. This is something I'm guilty of in the past. Almost because the role play is so personal, and you're interacting with the world from a personal standpoint, and is a very unique standpoint to yourself in each role play and with each character. That in some ways you become the character and you lose sense of what life is and what the role play is. And if something bad happens to your character in the game, you attribute that to something bad happening to yourself.
I'm not entirely sure that's a thing. Like, maybe I'm just not deep enough down the RP hole.
No, I'm not really with you either, Try. I think you're talking... I'm going to say to you the same thing I say to my mom frequently, which is every time we talk, I start to realize more and more how different we think.
Well, no, everybody thinks differently and has different life experiences. And
yes, but when two people think too differently alike, they have an even harder time connecting than other people who have similar thought processes.
No, but see, it's good for a podcast because you want people with different like opinions and different outlooks. If we all thought the same exact things, what type of podcast would this be? It'd be a dick sucking contest for 2 hours every week.
You don't have to worry about that because I'm straight as fuck.
Yeah, I know that.
I didn't mean that laugh to sound malicious.
Nope, it was malicious.
Oh fuck.
Try wants to kill it straight. He wants gay only.
Well, shit.
This is evidenced by his girlfriend.
I am not going to continue this conversation further.
Yeah. Anyways, my point being is it'd be an echo chamber if we all had the same opinions and had all the same experiences and backgrounds.
I agree.
And how can people learn from each other if they all think the same? Like there's a chance that I could be wrong, and like what I've seen is just this very small minority of the overall like role playing community, and me misinterpreting what people are doing, what I'm seeing.
Well, I mean, like we're also I can't speak for you, but like I'm only a part of like 1 or 2 writing communities.
Yeah, see, when I was doing the Danganronpa roleplay community, AG's player,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
he started up a roleplay with some of his close friends. It was the
Healthy Dose of Despair, right?
Healthy Dose of Despair. I go into there. I do a roleplay there. It falls to shit. I'm glad I was the first victim in that one because there's a lot of drama and bullshit because people take this stuff far too seriously.
Well, I mean, like nobody really wants to be like an early kill because they have these great plans for their characters.
I volunteered as an early kill. I volunteered as like when I wrote my app, I said, please make me the first victim because I don't have time for this bullshit. I just want to write a character that I'm interested in writing.
That makes sense.
And I'll talk about this more because I'm actually really proud of how I handled this character. It's also the same reason why I don't like Maya anymore because I see and I don't really like Rayanch as much anymore because I see how I see what I'm capable of that. Makes sense. I still don't think it was 100 like my best work I could have done, but it's a step up of what I was able to in the past.
I unfortunately never tuned into Healthy Dose of Despair, so I don't know what your character was like.
He was and I'll go into.
Was he another Gwen? Was he a Rayanch clone?
No, my character was the ultimate skeptic. And
oh right, I remember hearing about this.
Yeah, so his whole thing was that he was trying to subvert the game by manipulating the mascots into introducing new rules, so that it was harder to kill because he couldn't trust that people weren't going to commit murder.
And then he died first.
Yeah, well, that's the irony of the case. And
well, of course, he has to die first.
Well, and a character like this only works if it's going to be the first victim because first he's you can't have a character trying to manipulate rules to the entire game. That's kind of bullshit. And I would have never done that if I didn't go into it without even the confirmation of the GMs that he was going to be the first victim. I don't know, it set him up as a mastermind. Or like a mastermind or traitor.
A decoy mastermind?
Yeah, like a decoy mastermind or decoy traitor. And it eventually, like in the last trial, led to an interesting scene where like they're suspecting him to being the mastermind or suspecting him to be the traitor because he was working with them. And they play a video of him like in his room secretly about how like his plan and whatnot.
And then meanwhile, my 2 DRRP boys are 1, a suicidal asshole who just hates his life because he's the ultimate fast food worker and fuck that noise, and a loud southerner.
Despite what you think about your characters, you're really good at creating different interesting characters who...
Right, of course. Like that was like an extremely bare bones description of both of them. I'm actually really proud of what I've done with both of them so far. And I know that Tucker is only going to get better.
Yeah, no, Tucker. The only reason why I can't say that I fully like Edward over Tucker yet is just because I don't know. Like I haven't seen what happens with Edward. But Eddie's cool. I like Eddie.
Should we start wrapping up right about now?
Yeah, let's do a bit of some Q&A stuff. I don't.
I
know we don't have any Q&A stuff. I didn't do this. But I know how Dizzy feels about contributing in regards to his roleplay experiences.
I have basically 0. My characters never contributed to anything and kind of just all fizzled out. The only roleplay where my character pretty much did anything in was Town of the Extraordinary, where Sarah was basically the most active character in the whole roleplay, and she still didn't do anything.
Yeah, Town of the Extraordinary, not much actually ended up happening.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
sad
you.
because like that
Thank you,
gave me
Todd.
another chance to write Annabelle, and Annabelle is my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, no, I feel terrible because I was like, I really wanted to participate, but my character was one of those that's just too reliant on other people's characters to do things. One of the hard things with roleplay is that you have to really write an independent character. You can't have a character who's too dependent on others. Otherwise, you're always waiting on somebody to post. And if they don't post like in a way that works with your character, you're kind of fucked.
See, this is why you do what I do. Just immediately load up all of your character slots and just go to town with yourself.
Yep, that sounds about right.
He says as he had none of his Town of the Extraordinary characters interact with each other.
They all did in the sequel, where they got together and had a big gangbang.
That doesn't sound right.
Nope. I don't think that's right.
I
at
mean,
all.
it wasn't canon, and it was written by a Sonic fan. Also, Sonic was there.
Is this Sonichu?
Yes. Exactly.
Is this cringe?
Oh, it's incredibly cringe. What
Everything's
part
cringe.
of Big Gangbang does not sound like cringe?
I don't know. That sounds pretty interesting and full of character development.
Yes.
Not with my Town of the Extraordinary characters, though.
I wanted to make a joke about it, but the idea disgusted me too much.
Leave the 5-year-old alone.
How about this? For the last 10, 15 minutes, since it's sort of roleplay, why don't we talk about whodunit?
I hosted one.
I hosted too.
I was in Tar's whodunit, and then at one point I absolutely ran out of time, and I said, Tar, kill me.
And then he put in a request to the killer to kill DSY, to kill Dizzy.
Yeah. I feel bad, but I wasn't part of TARS, and I don't know why. Probably
It was time constraints, I believe, because like I had this really strict schedule that I had to follow because I was doing a whole bunch of other shit.
Oh no! Trust me, I feel you. The first one I did was a nightmare to GM. Oh, let me see if I can find. That was what was it? And then there were none who done it.
I was not there for that one. My first one was the RP character who done it.
Yeah, I did that one too. I got killed really early because I got like trapped in some bullshit.
Oh yeah, you were in the fucking, what was it? The J-pop hallucination room.
Yeah. I'm not too good at playing those types of whodunit games because I'm the type of person, like whodunit or like any, well, I guess roleplays in general, I'm the type of person who will actively try to break the game and break the GM's plan. And it's something that I've really tried to cut down on, but like, I guess not necessarily break, but try to push things into new interesting directions, like challenging the GM to be flexible and whatnot. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
Then I joined your Christmas roleplay. Your Christmas whodunit.
Yeah, Christmas whodunit though. Man, that was fun. I mean, it was
I was the
terrible.
killer. That was a good time.
That was great. I mean, it was terrible because the puzzles were entirely unnecessary.
Yeah, that's why I decided to forsake the puzzles mostly for my round.
Yeah, no, they took up way too much time. I feel like and then there were none one was a much better handled whodunit.
But yeah, fuck the stalking puzzle. Fuck you for that.
Yeah. Oh man, what was it? What was the stalking puzzle? Which one was that one?
Put coal in the naughty child stalking. I thought the machete was the prize. I didn't think the machete was actually a part of the puzzle, and then I realized, wait, the prizes aren't revealed until you solve the puzzles. I'm not intelligent.
And I just remember that the first puzzle I had was like for the first room was
Involved Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah. Well, no, yes, it involved Yu-Gi-Oh, but it involved my real life bookshelf.
Oh, great. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, but I took a picture of my bookshelf, and that was like the bookshelf you saw in the roleplay, because I was really proud of my manga bookshelf.
It's better than how I store my manga.
Yeah.
I just
I've got
stuff it in my
way too
dresser.
much manga. I've currently got like I have I have two bookshelves of manga, one completely filled, one that it's like the first 1.5 shelves, and the rest of the other shelf is used for limited editions of games. But by my bedside, I have a whole stack of manga that I have yet to finish because I've been too goddamn tired to read at night, and it just reminds me every night of I need to stop buying all this manga.
I only ever picked up one, and it was Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, the Phoenix Wright manga and the Ace Attorney, well, the Miles Edgeworth one was pretty good.
Well, it was like a collection of fan-made works.
Oh, that one! Oh my god, that one was great. Did you get the second one of that? 'Cause there was,
I did not. Isn't there 3?
no, there, and at least in America, there's two Ace Attorney case books. One with Phoenix Wright, one with Miles Edgeworth.
Oh, I got the one with Phoenix.
Yeah, and then there's Ace Attorney manga set, and then there's an Ace Attorney Investigations manga set. The Ace Attorney one's 5 volumes, Investigations 4 volumes, and they're both pretty lit.
And then yeah, I did the one, and I did the Whodunit. I hosted the Whodunit, and it was pretty obvious that it was my first time, 1, designing something like this, and 2, GMing anything at all. Tar for best GM became a legitimate meme.
That's I think I'm actually pretty good at GMing whodunits. It's just not including the I think I did a fine job GMing the puzzle one, except for the fact that the puzzles were terrible. Other than the puzzles being terrible, I think I'm actually much more proud with the.
I did an excellent job at GMing this puzzle-based roleplay with terrible puzzles.
Yeah, no. I remember thinking I did a pretty good job with the
It's okay. I did a bad job with my puzzles too. Did I ever do the meat locker rant?
No, I need to hear the Beat Locker rant.
Okay, so you at least saw my maps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there were a whole bunch of rooms that were behind either green or red padlocks. Green padlocks were just barricades you could remove, get into the room, plain and simple. I don't know why I did that. I don't know. It was the atmosphere. Red padlocks you had to solve a puzzle in order to get into. The meat locker was behind a red padlock, and here's how you get into it. So you go to the mental health hospital, and you talk to the cat. First person who talks to the cat gets taken on an adventure. After you get that done, the clock in the room will stop ticking. You will find an axe inside the compartment where the pendulum goes. Next, you need to find Specimen 2, and you need to drag him over to the ritual sacrifice chamber to kill him, which is unintuitive at all because in the opening post, I said the killer cannot kill the NPCs. I should have said the killer cannot kill the NPCs as a part of their murder plot.
Oh man, I can just imagine.
Kill Specimen 2 with the axe in the ritual chamber. You'll get the scary looking key. Apply scary looking key to scary looking padlock. Boom, you're in the meat locker. And the meat locker had one of the documents inside that you need to access in order to access the final room.
Can't you just take the axe and break the padlock?
Nope. Whodunit logic.
And it was probably tungsten.
What if you put the rule?
Padlock.
What if you put the rule in that the killer can't kill NPCs, and then everyone immediately splits up to go kill an NPC, and then the person who didn't is the killer? They're like, we know you're the one who did it because you're the only one who doesn't have blood on their hands.
That's pretty intense. I remember in the and then there were none who done it. GD was the he was the killer, and he was pretty fucking metal. There was a time when someone he murdered, he got covered in blood, and you want to know how he cleaned himself of the blood?
How?
He licked it off himself.
Oh, fun.
And then he died of a horrible disease.
That sounds extremely GD.
And you know what? Another Enigma was the first victim, and Enigma pulled the biggest enigma that you could ever imagine.
Oh boy, Enigma's known for pulling pretty big enigmas.
Okay, he starts the role play. Like his first post, I think he only had like 1 or 2 actual posts before he died. He basically screams, "Holy shit! I gotta go to the bathroom." Runs to the bathroom, and then is immediately murdered.
That sounds pretty Enigma.
And then I remember on the Zat, I don't know if he was memeing or if he was actually like a bit frustrated, but he wrote that he the murderer shouldn't have known he was in the bathroom, and because no one was upstairs to see him going to the bathroom, despite his character literally saying that he's going to the bathroom. And I pointed that out to him, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I can't. That sounds like just memeing, but maybe he forgot that he announced it.
I don't know, there might have been a little salt of being the first victim. I would have been too.
Probably. Anyways, is that about wrap it up?
Yep. Any final thoughts on roleplays, you guys?
Gwendolyn is and always will be my best character.
How about you, Dizzy? Any final thoughts that you're willing to share with us?
Butts.
I think you're cutting out.
Yeah, you're cutting out. You're really cutting out, man.
Well, also my mic is a little messed up, but butts mostly. That's my final thoughts. Butts.
That's your final thought, butts?
Butts.
Butts.
Butts. Very well. I was going to have a final thought, but I think there's nothing more appropriate to end
Well, there's
this
nothing
roleplay.
that can top butts.
Yeah, well, I think there's nothing more fitting to end this podcast with other than butts.
Well, excuse me, Tar. There is something that can top butts. It's called the waist.
Hey! I like it.
My final thoughts are I'm going to get Dizzy to get angry one of these days, and it's going to be a blast.
No, you don't want to get me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry.
Unless you were literally the Hulk, I highly doubt it.
I think you would like it better if I was the Hulk, because that would be hilarious.
Well, yeah, that would be hilarious.
Just imagine the Hulk on a talk.
Laptop.
Imagine the Hulk on a talk show.
I mean, there's a film critic called Film Crit Hulk that I've been meaning to read. That I just never get around to because I don't read anything other than roleplay posts.
I just like to imagine Hulk doing mundane things because Bruce Banner is so angry all the time. Just Hulk need food. Hulk go to shopping. Hulk go to market.
Mm-hmm.
Hulk wait an annoying line because Hulk no smash people in front of him. Otherwise, Hulk have to deal with more shit.
Damn assault lawsuits.
Also, it's just, oh, I'm sorry, sir. The coupon for the ranch dressing expired. Hulk, give up.
And that's been Bros in a Landfill.
Episode 2.
You're a bunch of sexy viewers who listen to this sexy podcast. That's totally not trash. Thank you for listening.
Please come back next week.
Signing off.
No more depressing
Bye-bye.
talk. We promise. We'll have happy.
Have a fun week, you little whippersnappers.
If we have another depressing story, I'm gonna fucking go to your house with a longsword, chop down your door, and then hand you the longsword and say, "There, now you fix it," and then you're gonna be upset.
I don't know if I'm gonna cut that or not from the podcast, but we'll see.